Okay, so my disclaimer in the beginning. Welcome everybody. TikTok, I can't see comments, so I won't be able to answer your comments for next 30 minutes or so. I will get to your comments. I just have to do it after I get through my spiel because I do try to get a lot of content in a short amount of time, 30 minutes. So first off, like always, let's talk about the day that we traded yesterday. Let's go to the 2 minute and SPY. We were trading options. At least that's what I trade in the room. So let's take a look at what SPY did. So I'm gonna change this to regular hours so it makes it a little easier to see what is what. So if you look at SPY on the 2 minute, we opened up right. Let's see, 12 o'clock. There we go. We opened up right around here, right? And so if you look, we typically don't trade right away anyway. So immediately we took a long call here. So you can see our indicators did process that long. Because the interesting thing, I didn't actually take this long right away like I normally would have. I waited to see if it was going to hold above this 200. So I did not take it here. I did not take it here. I actually waited a little bit. So I could have got a better entry here, obviously, right? But what I waited for was right here because what I was looking for is we had our golden cross here of the 21 SMA over the 200 EMA. And you can see as we went above, we started to collapse the SMA. So I wasn't sure if it was going to hold quite yet, right? And so when we were kind of looking at this going up like this, right, we had a resistance level. The moment I saw some volume right here and it started to pick up, I entered it somewhere around here. And then I let that roll out. I ended up closing it somewhere here. The reason why is because I began to see the divergence here. And we just do scalps. So I took that trade there. Once the divergence flipped into red, I did take this put right here. Those were the only two trades that I did for the day. And then I did not catch this right here. I didn't want to trade later in the day like that. So you can see, we did capture a short here. We did capture a long here. The funny part about our indicator is notice how even if you took this short, right, if you have the long call and you took this long right here, I mean, you made instant money right here, right? Now, the interesting thing about this short call, it's not a terrible call because we do have heavy resistance here. And we did begin to break the SMA. So, we did have room to come down. Now, normally, if you took this one, right, we would come over here. The moment you see this one, you would take the put, then you would take the call. You make your money on the call, right? And then as it comes down here, and we got our short call here, right? If you notice that the short call here at the close of market was really the same entry here. So if you notice your contract's actually in profit right now from here. So you made the money on the way up and you made the money on the way down. So it was an overall pretty great day for the indicators. The indicators are very accurate. I mean, I'd say probably 90% or more. But there's rules that you do have to apply to it, right? Such as if you look at this short, the zone tracker is red, and we do have some room to go, but we are above that 200. And if you think about it, our gap fill is blue, right? It did not flip to purple. And you can also see, where it took the short, we were kind of low in the RSI range. So there's a few rules that would keep you safe, right? I didn't take again this trade. I was just kind of working through how the indicator can be right both ways, right? So, but overall, great day. Kind of, let's talk about where I think we're going from here. If you zoom out right here, remember the white lines, the upper and the lower channel. I still think that we need to come down and touch this lower channel. I don't know if it's going to happen right away, but what I will say is, if you look here, let me mute the harmonic one just so you can see the candles a little better, hopefully. But if you look here, we have a peak here, and we have a higher peak here, but it did lose it, and then it collapsed, right? And so that's what we're dealing with right now is that collapse. So the key point to look at your and or ifs, right? Also, just to note, you have the Bollinger turned red, or it's the first time it's turned red in quite some time. So the keynotes to look for here on your and or if is the biggest one is this 200 EMA on the 2 minute. We'll look at some other time frames, but this one is huge because if you look at it, the pre-market right now is literally right on top of it. So If that breaks, right, and it opens up with it below it, it's likely to get a push down before it finds some support. So I would look for support around 450, probably 449.45 would be the low of support, somewhere in here, where you could take that call, right, to ride it up. Again, don't just take a call just off this support line. You want to make sure that the indicators actually tell you, hey, we're reversing up, right? Don't just jump in, because at the end of the day, right, we're just in a rising channel. And so rising channels typically will break down, right, at some point. So my anticipation is that at some point we're going to break back down to about 445. It could be, today, could be, by the end of this week, right? It just depends. We have some news coming out at 8:30 with the retail sales and stuff, and it's supposed to be bullish. So if we play the news on the end, or if what I would want to see is, I want to see the market, possibly pull back a little bit further and then come back and reclaim this 200 as support and hold, right? Once I see that hold as support, that strength there, and I begin to see this RSI flip up to green, then I'm going to take that call and I'm going to ride the wave, right? Then you're just creating a higher low, and you're just riding the trend. So that's kind of the end, or if you're trading today. As far as the ATAs, people are able to set up the options ATAs themselves now. We're kind of in the middle, so I'm still okay running calls. I'm still okay running puts. Y'all know, typically when I play with the ATA, I like to go to the 1 hour. And so if you notice on the 1 hour, we did create a higher high, right? But we do have somewhat of a double top kind of forming here. And then the 1 hour 21 SMA, if you notice, is right where we're actually at too. Literally right, it's right there. So, or really, really close, right? So if you actually break this 21 SMA, then we're going to come down and retest this at some point. If you look at the 1 hour 200 EMA, a long history, right? We always, no matter how high we go up, we always retest it. It always comes back, always, right? So the only question is when, right? And so this could continue up for the next few days, and it coming back could be 441, 442, right? But it will come back. And so the way that I kind of anticipate when it's going to come back is, I look at the things like the divergence hunter, right? So we did have bearish divergence here. We do also have continued bearish divergence here. It just hasn't extended it yet. So we're starting to see the divergence. Now what I want to see is this sucker flip red, right? Kind of like how it did here, where it flipped red, right? And then you see the drop. And so it even caught it, here too. So if it flips red and it closes that candle, then that would be a great put setup. So I'm probably going to still run calls and shorts, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do calls again, on parabolic SARs for the ATA, and I'm going to do something more aggressive, probably still moving average. I mean, it's not a bad play with that one. So it has some pretty good historical stuff. So, and we'll talk about the ATA here towards the end. But if you look on the 1 hour, our gap fill is showing that we are way over bought, right? And that we are due for a bearish gap fill. And the RSI lines up with that, right? So can we go up, north a little more? Sure, we can. I mean, we can get as high as, I have it marked here at 454 before it collapses, right? It's very possible. So I have the white line here, that we're kind of following. We can kind of let me see, it looks like it got moved a little bit. So let me line this up. So I got a peak here. Always recheck your lines, because there is times where the market may change on you, first of all, and second of all, your lines can get moved as you're touching things, right? So I'm going to adjust this one to there. I'll pull it up to here, but the thing is, I don't like this opening, right? So you don't always have to capture every wick. This one's a little bit presumptuous, because that's literally the only second point, right? But I'm gonna leave it like that. We'll see how that plays out. And what we could do for this peak, if y'all wanted to add another line, what you could do is that it looks like there's something here where, let's see, I don't like that. We could probably just take this peak to this peak, right? And that would be a little bit of a cleaner kind of wedge-ish, right? So if we were to break up, this could be where it meets that, right, to collapse. So if over the next, day, like by end of market today or tomorrow, we end up here for by chance, right? That is going to be just an absolute amazing area for a put, especially if this flips red on you. So that's my play for the SPY. Let's talk about Apple. Yeah. So Apple did what we talked about. Remember, we had drawn this line right here, and we said, first off, what we said is a while back, right? This was last week. That it was kind of following this pattern here. It did. I said if it hung up to the top and it held support, then you're going to get a big explosion up for a retest up here, and that is literally what it did. So it literally retested up here. Hopefully some of y'all caught that on the calls. Part of my and or if yesterday was we were right here. So I said, if we stay above the 21 SMA and we break this line here, then you want to jump into that call, right? And so 191 up to 194, I mean, that's a big trade. So I hope some of y'all caught that. Sorry about that. But we are overbotting in on Apple, so just be really careful taking calls. Can we go up higher? Sure. If you want to take another call, I would at least wait for a retest of this 21 SMA on the 1 hour, around 193 or so, and then have it hold the support. And you could probably get another scalp in there. If we do break this SMA below, then it's almost certain it's going to come back to this 200 or somewhere in here, or at least a retest of this 191. So as it closes in on this, I would just tighten up that stop. So for Apple, let's see how Google fared. Yeah, so Google, pretty much same thing you can see here. We had talked about on Google that there's a potential that if it breaks this support or resistance line, it could come all the way up as high as there. But it's got to break this resistance line, I mean, 126 or so is pretty tough resistance. You can see it's failed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, 7 times, 8, 9 times now, right? If you actually zoom in, you almost have like a shoulder, kind of head and shoulder forming, and we're below that 21 SMA. So Google's looking a lot weaker, right? There's definitely a gap that can be filled here. We do have some bearish sentiment on that, and we do have like just tons of bearish divergence, actually really strong. So if the end or if with Google is if we stay below this 21 SMA on market open and we break 124, I would say, with some strength, I would not chase the break. Allow it to break. It's likely to bounce if it does break somewhere around here anyways, 122. Catch the bounce and the retest and then ride that sucker down. That's the bearish scenario. Bullish, if the market opens and we reclaim this 21 SMA, then it will invalidate this. Once it invalidates that, it'll rocket north. So, but just be really careful on that because, again, even if it invalidates it and it comes up here, you're sitting like right on the resistance line. So for me, sometimes I won't chase that call. I will let this ride all the way up, and then I will ride that train all the way back down, right? So just be patient. Wait for your setups, right? Don't chase them. Microsoft. So Microsoft, you can see, I mean, I just without even looking, I mean, this is the easy put setup. It did the similar to Apple, right? We broke out of our range, we wrote it up, so if you caught that call, that's awesome. I mean, that's about $11 run from the break. Now, if you look at it, we're in a little different situation because you can see we are below the SMA. So if we stay below, the bearish would be, actually we just broke a little bit above it, actually. I was looking at the wrong candle. So if we stay above this, likely we'll come up here for a retest around 349. I would not trust the call up here for me. Personally, if I'm, we do got a blue break here on the gap fill though. So, but I would wait for this to come up, hit outside the gap fill, get my fractal, and then just ride that back down. I mean, the safer play or the bigger play that you're gonna get is gonna probably be down. But we definitely could move up, right? We're above that 21 SMA, so there's some room for Microsoft to move. So Amazon, trying to get through these. So we had some lines. You can see that the lines are playing out perfectly. So you can see Thursday and Friday, right? We pumped up, we hit this. We talked about that, I know, yesterday. And then we rejected. Monday it opened, couldn't break it, collapsed back below this 21 SMA. And so you can see we stayed below that, right, which is causing that breakdown. Now, keynote we talked about, right, is this, I know I brought this up yesterday, is this is a potential shoulder head, right? And then this shoulder doesn't always have to be perfect, right? And so you can see this is kind of that neckline. So if it has a break down to about 132 even, somewhere in there, and then look for that retest of that 21 SMA. If it fails that retest, the fall will be fast, right? It's going to come to 130, or possibly even lower, right? Depending on the momentum that it has. So that's my bearish, or if you want to take puts. If you want to take a call, I would not suggest taking a call unless either A, you take a bounce off the 200 EMA, which is on the 1 hour, which is like 130. I would not take a call if it stays up here until we actually flip this 21 SMA. And I want to see support held on it and it actually start to curl up, right? Right now we have a pretty steep curl down. So that would be my play on Amazon. Let's take a look at Tesla. Everybody loves Tesla. I always get that question. What about Tesla? Tesla's wild, right? So Tesla's like Apple, man. It's just you got to be really careful on the puts with Tesla because when it falls fast. I mean, you can see here, even there, right? But the strength that it has is just nuts, right? So I left this here. I'll probably delete it today, but we were following this bear flag, or I'm sorry, this bull flag. Here you can see the retest. It broke up. It held support early, which allowed it to break it. Came down, retested a high early, which shot us, right? My early anticipation is that we would likely not get past this yellow line. Even if I were to move this up to that wick, right, we're still above it. So it's pretty wild how the strength is held. And what's interesting to me is even with this push north, the RSI is not really, peeking out, right, like it did back here. It's just kind of staying like this, right? So it's kind of weird the way that's setting up. So to me, it's showing a little bit of weakness, in that. But as far as our zone tracker goes, I mean, it could get up as high as 308 before a really serious rejection. But I just want to caution you if you're deciding to jump on the FOMO train of calls on Tesla, because here is your gap. I mean, just an absolute enormous gap that is just not filled. I mean, all the way back to like 158. I mean, it's insane, right? So if you take the halfway theory, right, I mean, your halfway is like 221. So I don't know if it's going to hit that anytime soon. We could see some heavy support up here. You can take what I would probably do, which it looks like it's already kind of playing, is I would take this bottom here and I would just line up a line like this, right? That would be kind of your, like what we did with Apple a while back, like kind of your support line. Probably a little bit down. Let's pull it a little bit. Yeah, that'd be close enough. And so I kind of want it to be on that one right there. There you go, because we found a just crazy support there. So that's going to be your line to break. So what we'll do is we'll delete these other flag lines because we already played that. And I'm going to hold this line here. I'm still going to hold it because if it collapses below that line, right, you can see that this is likely where we're going to get a bounce. So I suspect that my end or if scenario would be if this weakness does continue, right, and we do flip red on the 1 hour and we break below the 21 SMA, right, in the market open either today or tomorrow, then you're going to see that pullback. I would anticipate some support held somewhere in this range, around 270, 280. So if you're looking to take a call, I would probably wait for a healthy pullback like that before you jump into that call. Now, if it breaks this on a put, if you want to take a put, I would wait for it to break the 21 SMA with some more weakness. Maybe have like your peak here, a little mini top, and then another peak here, right, giving us our 3 touch. That would be enough to push us down to around that 280. But just be careful, right, because the bounce could be really big, so make sure you trail that. So now the bullishness, if I'm either taking a call down here, or if today, most of the day, I can see some strength, right? It hits this 21 SMA, see strength, and I create a higher high here, then I know it's holding support above here, creating higher highs. So then I'm not going to chase it here. I'm going to wait for it to come back, right, and touch the SMA one more time, and then I'll enter that call to ride that sucker up. So that's kind of your end or if with Tesla if you're interested in playing it. Let's talk about Meta. So Meta, Meta didn't really do a whole lot yesterday. Looks like it kind of dumped overnight and then, pumped up and then just kind of hanging out sideways. Just kind of a quick look at Meta. This yellow line is what we followed. It was once resistance here, right? And then now we've blown above it, and it almost failed to hold it, but it's holding it so far. So as long as we hold above this yellow line, I would not take a put. Your end or if scenarios on this would be if we continue to hold here, right, on this 21 SMA, I would want to see one burst. Don't take that one, right? Let that one go. Then come back, hit this 21 SMA as support again. On the bullish confirmation, boom, you can take that call up, right? Because you want to see, can it create a higher high than here? If it can hold support on the 21 SMA and create a higher high, like up here, and then come down and hold support again, it's likely that it's going to create another higher high, right? But if it, the bearish scenario, I would not take a put as long as we're above this yellow line, or the 21 SMA. I would wait for that to break below. I'd love to see this flip purple, and then I would just ride that put because it's gonna be a great put. I mean, we're probably gonna come down and retest about 300 at some point this week, right? Unless we really get that big breakup. Now, keep in mind on the 1 hour, if you look here, we could come up and retest this, creating somewhat of a double top, right? Which would put us somewhere in Thursday or so before we get down to that level. So just play your range on Meta. I don't really trade Meta a lot, but some people like it. I'm going to do Netflix real quick, and then we'll jump in because we got to get rolling. So Netflix, like we talked about yesterday, just continues to ride upward. If you look at the 1 hour, we're just bouncing off the 200 EMA. It is kind of high in the range. We still have some room that it can go, but our gap fill just called that we need some kind of healthy bearish pullback, right? So my end or if on Netflix is I'm not taking a call on Netflix because of the fact that we are so high in this range and it's been rejected 1, 2, probably 3 times. But you can almost take a now that we have our 2 peak, right? I kind of want to take a line like this. And you can see we're like right at it. If I see it get a bearish confirmation and break this 21 SMA, right, on a close of a candle, I will ride that scalp down this way, right, for your put. However, if I see this break above again with some strength and I see it hold as support in a higher low, right, going this way past this trend line, then you could get a nice little call scalp. To me, it's not really worth it. There's so many other better plays because we're already high on what was crazy. I mean, look how far this fell, right? Just from this range. And then it did it again. And then now we've exploded here. So you can see it tends to hold it for a little bit and then it collapses, right? It holds it for a little bit and then collapses. So we kind of tested it here. You can see it almost instant collapse. I mean, just a great put play. And then, flip right back into a call from the double bottom off of the POC. But we're so high in the range. I mean, taking a call up here is pretty risky. If I'm gonna play Netflix, I'm gonna wait for it to come up here and take a put and ride that sucker back down, or I'm gonna wait till it come up here and ride that down, depending on how my indicators line up. So I'm not gonna talk too much on the Dixie because we only have a little bit of time left. But you can see the Dixie is holding support right on that yellow line that we placed here. It did kind of round and then retested here. So for the Dixie right now, we are calling a bullish gap fill, meaning we do need to push up. This kind of double touch could give us a little bit of a bullish push up into to test this 200 EMA on the 1 hour. So I would look for that. That would kind of fall in line with the slight pullback that we were talking about. So Bitcoin did pretty much what we talked about. So if we go to the 1 hour, let's zoom out here. So y'all remember I said, I mean, we're just hanging on a cliff here. It's a matter of time before we pull back down to around 27, but we may continue just to range for a little while, right? It's going to depend on this neckline. So where we are now, the news is going to be very impactful of this, because if the news comes out even slightly bearish, it's going to drop us below these support levels, and people are going to either FOMO on those shorts, or they're going to you're going to see like a stop loss trigger event, right? All the people that took their longs, they set their stop losses here, so you start to trigger all those stop losses, pulling it down. So You know, for right now, it's a little presumptuous to take a short. If you took your short, you wanted to do it up here or up here even for a scalp below there. But to take it now is you're kind of at the bottom, right? I mean, there's a potential that you could see it do this again. There's no guarantee that we're gonna pull right back down. So the end or if scenario I would take with Bitcoin. If you wanted to take a short, I would wait for some kind of a push up onto the 200 EMA here, around 30,360. That's where you should be taking these shorts, kind of like you had here, right? Take that short. If you break, if it stays below this 21 SMA, like remember we talked about that. If the 21 SMA, which it's hard to see, I'm sure, but it's like right here, squeezing it. So if this continues to pull down and it can't break it and it squeezes into the support level, that is going to be what is going to collapse this, right? So I would personally, you know, if you got a large enough account and you know you believe the news is going to crash this down, you could take a short here, but I would just take it small enough that if we do pump up, you can DCA it here, right, to write it back down. So that's the risk that you're taking, but I don't know if it's worth that that risk quite yet. Now, if my indicators all line up, like it tells me, you know, hey, take a short. Like let's see what the Harmonic Pro. So it's, yeah, see this one caught it up here, so it already has you in a short. So our indicator caught this long and it caught this short. And you can see, I mean, all along the thing, it's taking the shorts down here at the bottom and the longs up at the top. So, you know, currently we're already in a short, so it's not going to throw another short, right? It's telling you that you're already in, so you might have already missed that train. So just you know, now you want to look and see, okay, you can see here, this was heavy resistance. That's likely why we're holding heavy support here. So the next fall, if we fall, it'll probably find a bounce somewhere around, depending on how much steam we follow with, right? I mean, the support could be around 29.1, it could be around 28.8, right? That's where you would want to allow it to bounce and ride that call or that long, or you allow it to bounce back up and then reject. So what you want to see is once support acts as resistance, that's when you want to ride that sucker back down. But again, depends on the news, right? So just play your range. We only got about 3 minutes, so I'm not gonna do ETH quite yet. I'm not sure many people are trading that as of right now, but this is yesterday. It was kind of boring yesterday. We did take a put because I had an aggressive setting, right? So I did take the put early, and it did get caught backwards, but it did take a call, capitalized on a little money. So far, it's a perfect DCA right at the peak. And if you look at the pre, we're actually pretty much in profit, or really, really, really close. So we just need a market open to pull back just a little bit here, and this should be a really big trade. So we'll see how the market opens with that. And that's going to be heavily dependent, I'm sure, on the news that comes out in the next few minutes. So, but as far as the setting goes, guys, on the calls, I'm still going to run parabolic SARs. We do have to flip this to a 3-day. On that, and so I'm still gonna go with 945 on the call, and we'll still end at about 3. I think that I like that number. That way we're not stuck in anything too late. And then we'll still stick with the DCAs. The take profit's fine, and I don't really need to close out my candle, but I think I'm going to anyways, just because let's you know, just I don't know, I like something about it, just gives me a nice clean reset. All right, so we got it. We're moving this. It'll populate that one once 930 hits. Let's go in here. Let's delete the alert, and we're gonna add the alert. ATA copy call, and then let's do the put. All right, so the put we don't want to touch yet because we're in the put, right? We're already in this. So the settings, I'm going to keep the same regardless anyways. The only thing additional that I'll have to do is I'll have to change this to 3. So I don't want to do that yet because we're in a contract now anyways. So I don't want to, you don't want to mess with anything, right? Because you want to fire the same stuff to make sure that it can close it. Once it closes that, I'll adjust this to 3. I'll probably still keep moving. I'm still going to keep it at, well, actually, I'm going to, because we're in an open trade, I'm not sure. I want to make sure it's actively looking for things at 930. And See, I can't make any adjustments. Yeah, so we'll leave it at 945. Because notice how that got rid of my DCA, right? It took a different entry. And so we'll leave it at 945. We're just going to let it play out, let it do its thing. You can see it's dropping, so that's a good thing. Hopefully that keeps dropping, and maybe it'll be a really big win for y'all. So we have a DCA here, a little burst up. So we got the DCAs, we're going to keep that the same, and then we're going to leave all this the same as well. So, but once this one fires and it gets out of this, I will adjust this. The only changes I'm going to make later will be, this will be a 3-day because of obviously we only have 3 days left. But I'll probably still leave moving average. I think it's a good aggressive put strategy. So that's the plan. So I'm not going to touch that alert. If y'all are interested in trading our ATAs, you can either do the copy trade where you follow us on these settings that I do here, or you can do it yourself. You get the indicator if you're one that trades options already and you're like, man, this is kind of interesting. You actually get the indicator, and these are the settings you can play with, right, to automate the trades. It's pretty sweet because I do other projects, other work projects and such, and a lot of times I set the automation and I just go throughout the day, right? And then my trading view just alerts me when things happen and I don't have to touch it. So, if you're one that's just sitting in front of a monitor all day and you're like, man, I got better things to do, right? Use the automation. Or let's say you work from home and you can't just watch a chart, right? Because you miss out on too many opportunities. You have the automation there and you can sit there and do your work. And then, when you get a beep or, a triggered alert, when it's firing. And you get the ability to manage your own risk tolerance. We can stop trades at the end of the day. You can only trade during a certain window. You can always close the trades whenever you want by the end of that day. You set your DCAs, you set your take profits, you set your stop loss. I mean, you literally have all the power. So TikTok, hang tight. I'll answer some questions here shortly. But as far as in the community, guys, I'll be around. I will open up the room at 9:30. I'll probably only be able to hang out for an hour, but I can get the room open and give some admins to some people, and then that way y'all can kind of keep the room going. We're just working on a lot of various different things that I gotta do. So, but I'll still be available for y'all if you need me. So appreciate your time, and we'll see you shortly.